Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to Retrospect, your go-to retro gaming podcast. You're listening to episode 53. Today, we'll be tackling a question from one of our readers, actually. And joining me in the mics, as always, we have the corn dog connoisseur himself, Brandon Saltalamacchio.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I only had one in my life, but
bringing it back full circle. You are a connoisseur now. People are going to start flocking to
bring them. Yeah, someone needs to bring them to the UK. They don't even have them in the cinemas or something, you know?
Well, I don't, dude, if we had corn dogs here in the theaters, I would be going every single week. All right. let me tell you something. All right. I love corn dogs.
There's film's a joke just a bonus.
Yeah. I'm here for the corn dogs. I'm not here to watch the Mario movie. Yeah, we had one of the guys in my office. He subscribes to a newsletter to one of the fast food restaurants here called Sonic. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Sonic, where they are on rollerblades and they bring the food to your car. And every Tuesday, there's a corn dog deal. And so he gets a notification every Tuesday about half price corn dogs at Sonic. And so he's like, you guys want to go? You guys want to hit some Sonic up?
That's brilliant. Corn dogs on rollerblades. That is niche.
And also dangerous. Could you imagine if you fall and just shove a corn dog through your eyeball?
Oh, man.
That reminds me of Nacho Libre. Have you seen that movie?
Great movie. Love it.
I freaking love that movie where the corn on the stick goes through the guy's eye. He's like, ah!
I need to watch that again.
It's a good one, man. I used to be able to quote that entire movie, and I haven't watched it in a while, but I feel like if I did, I'd still remember a lot of the scenes. So good. So good.
Jack Black's just great, isn't he?
He's awesome, dude. He's awesome. So Brandon, for the audience, this is a little bit of a magic behind the scenes. We're recording this a week in advance because Brandon's going to be out next week. So we decided to throw together this episode kind of last minute, but we got a good topic today for you guys. Cause like I said, it came from one of our listeners, Joe over at Niche Campus. He messaged us on YouTube and said, now that we have a father or at least one on the podcast, what are you going to be doing to help your kids grow up with Nintendo, in quotes, or other gaming staples? I remember one guy's method was to introduce retro games to his son at the same ages he experienced them. So 80s and 90s. So I think what he's saying is he literally would be like, okay, now that you're 4 or 5, in 85, I was playing this game. In 86, I was playing this game, and moving through them that way, which I think is interesting. But that takes a lot of mental lift to be like, what was I playing 25 years ago?
And the games in the 90s and the late 80s, they were hard, man. They were hard. It was just constant failure after failure to try and get to the end of the level. I don't think if kids can deal with that this day and age.
I hate this game.
What's failure?
I just want to play Fortnite with my friends.
Yeah.
This game sucks, Dad.
Great subject, though. Great subject. And for those that don't know, Jake is a father, and I am going to be a father in January. So it's a cool subject that I haven't really had time to think about until now.
Yeah. You got time. So there's no rush on this one. But I'm getting to the point, too, where, Henry has started watching me play some stuff. And he's very interested.
How old's Henry? 2?
He's a little over 2. And, you're not supposed to really let your kids watch that much TV. But sometimes, I'm like, come on, dude, just come hang out with me. And so he sits down on my lap or next to me, and he is just in. Where we're playing anything, he's like, wow, this is nice. All the bright colors, all the fast motion. He probably doesn't even know what's happening half the time, but he is in, dude. So, yeah, I'm starting to think about this more. I've talked to a few friends about this. They have their own ideas on what they want to do. But, yeah, I think it'd be kind of fun to walk through it. So I outlined some questions here. And so, first question, is this something that you've thought about at all? Or what have you even, in your mind, what's your kind of method or thing you're thinking about?
I feel like I'm quite biased because I was very much grown up with video games. We had to have a balanced household till I was probably in my young teens, and then it was just like you can do what you want, and I got into console gaming. But it was like some of the best times of my life playing like video games. My friends, we did a lot of LAN gaming, so we'd take our little like gaming computers, we'd lug them all the way to my friend's house, and we just hook them up and play. What did we play? We played like Counter-Strike back in the day, Halo,
Quake.
There was Quake, Guild Wars was like an RPG. And that's kind of fueled and like assisted to help with where I am today. So I'm a bit like, as much as I probably shouldn't have played loads of games, I'm now getting to do this for a living and I fucking love it. It's a passion of mine. Like me and you get to talk every week. Like I'm very blessed. So I'm a bit like, there's definitely balance, 100%. You want your kid kind of like, out in the wilderness, experiencing the elements, learning nature, but at the same time, you don't want to restrict them from potentially fueling their creativity in their future career.
Yeah. Like I'm in the same boat. I grew up with it, so obviously I have fond memories. But I think it's just something that I want to share with my share. Like, here's something that I liked. If you like it, that's great. If you don't like it, that's fine too. But I do think that like in being in such a hyper digital age, like I'm concerned about where the future is headed in terms of technology and what that even looks like. Because like games in the future might be completely different, and it might be like this next level thing. I mean, obviously for us, that's only like 5 or 6 years away. But there is something to consider there where it's like, okay, because we really haven't done a lot of studies on how bad like digital consumption is for us. Like just
because it's so new, isn't it? It's so new tech. They don't have 20 years of studies of playing video games every day because nobody's really done that.
Not yet. Like they could start doing that pretty soon. They've done stuff with social media studies, and obviously that's a completely different ball game. I think games are a lot more harmless, a lot more therapeutic in some cases, or just like very innocent. You make them what you want them to be, just like anything else. Too much of anything can be bad for you. So yeah, I obviously want, Henry and any of my future kids to enjoy video games, because that'd be great. We could share that together and I could whoop their ass in any game they want to play. I'm not holding up. If you're playing Mario Kart, you are going to get destroyed.
Yeah. And funny, when I was in London Games Expo, I was with Jason. I went with Jason and his family came. But there was a lot of children there as well. And what I realized is you can play games, but you can also, and what I think is going to be more popular and kind of why I invested in Card Gamer is because I do think there's something that's going to keep families together in terms of physical games like card games, board games. I think they are growing, they're trending, and people like us who've been born in an age before internet, we kind of understand the disadvantages of being glued to a screen. So I think actually board games and card games are going to increase in popularity as the more of us 30 and 40-year-olds have children. Yeah,
no, I love that. I think board games are sick. I often think about that crossover a lot. I was thinking about Jason, actually, if we ever do another podcast about board game specific things. I don't know how like into board games he is. I was like,
crazy.
Okay, good. Because I think he'd be a fun one to talk to about that.
Yeah.
But I pulled this quick fact also from some health website. For kids over the age of 6, the American Academy, this is America, of Pediatrics says no more than 60 minutes on school days and 2 hours on non-school school days. Kids under 6 should spend closer to 30 minutes, which I feel like that's not bad, actually. I don't even think I was able to play an hour when I was 6 years old either.
2 hours on the weekend. I don't know why. I think that's a hefty amount. I don't even play that, and I'm a gamer.
Like that's pretty good. That's a pretty good amount of time. So at 6 years old, if you're able to put in that amount of games, like that kid's a gamer at that point. So I think at that point, you want to do it, freaking go for it. So back to Mike's question, what would be your starting point, or what games do you think would work best as like an introduction?
I'm going to say, to begin with, it's likely platform games, something easy, something like 2-button, A, B, jump, like Super Mario, you squish stuff, you get to the next level, you get your dopamine hit, and you kind of feel like you're a genius. That's probably where I would start, probably around like the 6 years old, but younger, I guess. That's a tricky question. I don't actually know, and I'm going to leave that one to you. If you're under 6, what would you even start them on? Marbles? Because I've got plenty of those.
Hey, under 6, you got to be careful, man. They would choke on those marbles and swallow them. Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I think at a certain age, a platformer like Super Mario World, that's probably where I would start. Because again, that's something that I almost started with. I played something different. I think probably on the NES before that, probably Super Mario Bros. 3, and maybe just Super Mario. But Super Mario is kind of hard. I think Mario World's a little more approachable. And I like the idea of like that controller being kind of comfortable for them to hold. It has, just the D-pad and the buttons on the side. There are 4 buttons on the side, so that could be confusing, but I think that would work. Or if they wanted to play a more modern game, I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is great for most ages because you can turn on the auto steering thing and auto acceleration. So really the kid doesn't even have to steer. Like they can feel like they're playing the game and they're moving the right direction. They won't fall off the map and they can still like kind of turn and pick up items and stuff. So Nintendo probably is a place that I would stay first because they just have the most kid friendly approach to game design. But yeah, those would be the ones that I would start with, I think.
I'm thinking of like what kids first console nowadays is actually probably a Switch. But that's crazy to me because a Nintendo Switch is quite expensive. Even the Lite, what's the Lite? Like still $199 or something?
Yeah, I think $200.
Which is pretty expensive. I do get a lot of emails and comments asking like what handhelds I would recommend to a child. And there are like $50 emulation devices that work well and they kind of just load up. They might be a little bit tricky for kids under 6, but it's only $50. If they break it, they break it. It's preloaded. You just get it out of the box. So that could be a good introduction for kids if you want to keep it cheap.
That was actually one of my like what's the best introduction or like the best hardware, I guess, to sort of bring a kid into that. And so you're thinking in like a cheaper emulator might be a good approach also.
Yeah, but that's what I'd recommend. But most households these days, they've either got a PlayStation or they've got a Nintendo Switch. So I think it's something that they just naturally go to, isn't it? You don't want to spend any money. So you just kind of give your kid the Nintendo Switch and go, hey, here's something colorful. And the PlayStation 5 and stuff have got loads of kid games. Like Lego and stuff's pretty good.
That's something to think about. Like with the old consoles, the original hardware, the beauty of that is that one, it's the historical reference you're getting when you're playing on. It's like, hey, here's what I played as a kid. Here's the exact thing that I was playing on. And like, they can see like, whoa, this thing is old and weird. Like, why are you playing on this? Yeah. But it also restricted us to only being able to play the game. Like there was nothing else you could do on those old consoles except put the cartridge in and that was the game you were playing. Like there was nothing else you could do on the console. Whereas now I've heard horror stories of kids getting onto their like parents' consoles and like buying thousands of dollars worth of like DLC or just unknown eShop items because they had no idea what they were doing. They were just like clicking around, pushing X and like, ooh, yay. And so it's like, yeah, it's almost more like a PC at this point. We have to make sure that we're just channeling them in the right direction. Like you can only touch this game. This is the only game you're allowed to like click on. Because, eventually.
I just had a really crazy thought when before I was even allowed like a kid's debit card or any kind of like proper pocket money. Me and my friends used to do. There's this game called Guild Wars. It's a bit like World of Warcraft, and what you could do is a lot of people wanted to get their low level characters into the high level areas, but they couldn't get through because it was too hard. So you get these things called runners where you get people that are built for speed that would just run through the entire game in like an hour and they'd pay you in gold. So I remember running with my friend as a job. Okay, I got to clock in at 3. I've got to take this client to Lions Gate and it's just funny how like back then kids could make money in a virtual world before they could in the real world.
That is so cool. Like the idea. So like literally you had a gig, you had a virtual gig where people knew you as a runner. Yeah. And they would, how do they even find you? Like, was there like a forum on
you stand
somewhere?
In the lobby. You stand in the lobby where all the noobs come out into like the first world. We're like, whoa, what up, level 2? And you just go running to Lionsgate for 3K gold. And these noobs, but they weren't noobs. A lot of them had like a load of gold from their like main accounts. Would just be like, yep, me and my friend, and you do 3K gold per person, and you just run, and you'd have to like dodge all these beasts. You have to like stun them, freeze them, get around the cave, and then you'd just be making bare money.
Dude, that's a great documentary series. You know, growing up, life of a runner. You
could sell that gold for real money if you had like an eBay account or like a debit card, but I didn't.
Dude, I remember people. We may have talked about this, but like, yeah, that still happens today. People will sell like their Fortnite
Roblox
accounts
and stuff, right? You can make games in Roblox, yeah.
They'll sell like Pokemon Go accounts, you know, for somebody's out there just catching all kinds of Pokemon, and they'll just sell them. Like,
yeah,
that's wild, dude. That's a wild world out there. Selling your virtual your virtual in-game skills. I love that.
I can't think of anything that's like that now, really. I mean, you got your Roblox and stuff, and you probably got like Minecraft, where it's like someone comes in and builds a world for you. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I've got a bit off track there.
Oh, you're good. No, I love that. I love the off track stuff. But I think for me, also having a Switch already, I mean, NSO is going to be great because it has access to a ton of the games I'd already would want to. Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing I'm kind of stuck with, where an emulator would be great, and that would be probably what I'll try to do. Also, like, you know, it can be just his, and he can just have it and just mess around with like Mario, and there's nothing he can really break on there, even if he goes into like the back
Mario
end.
Mini's perfect, $50, perfectly sized. You can get them a little case for it so they can protect it. Games preloaded. Exactly. Yeah. And I think actually recently they've come out of an update where you can trade Pokemon and play wirelessly between 2 Mario Minis.
Yes. So unfortunately it's the Plus, I think, that allows you to do the wireless trading. But I was like, dude, that's sick. I was like, how has Nintendo not done this yet? Like, just give us the wireless connection for the Game Boy stuff. But yeah, that was great. I love that feature. I think I saw Russ talking about that. But yeah, NSO is going to be great because it has Super Nintendo, N64, even Sega stuff on there. I mean, NES if I wanted to, Game Boy games. So most of everything that I'd want to probably introduce them to would be on NSO already for a fraction of the cost. Like I still will show him my Game Boy. Like, here's my Game Boy Color that, you know, we played, but you know, I have like 2 games for it. So it's like, yeah, you can play Frogger and Tetris and Pokemon.
And what Nintendo and Sega are very good at now are building such huge IPs that there's something for every age. For example, Sonic, you know, the movie came out. You've got the games. They're building out remakes and ports for the games. Mm-hmm. So if kids want to get into like the older stuff, you can. And then you get the bigger, what was it, Sonic Origins? Was that the big one that released recently? That's just like open world, mature.
I think it's
Frontiers.
Origins. Yeah, Frontiers. Thank you. Yeah,
that one. So and Nintendo do it as well with the Super Mario. So I feel like Nintendo and Sega are understanding the value in creating an IP that's nostalgic and modern at the same time. So, you know, parents can play with their kids across multiple different games. And when their kids get to our age, there's still plenty of games, new and old, for them to choose from.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you know, we're introducing them to a game that was old. And then like they start making the connection to like newer stuff. They're like, whoa, wait, this Mario is the same as like the one from the movie? And we're like, yeah, that's right. That's right.
We got him.
Yeah, he's in. He's all about it now. I've heard a few friends too, like the Mario movie's been huge for a lot of families. And like, you know, the Bowser's Peaches song, like one of my coworkers, her son like just bought a Super Mario Bros. Like lunchbox. I was like, good. Nice. This is great.
I'm going to be forcing my child with Sega stuff. You will like Sonic. It can kill that flat plumber in 2 minutes.
Listen, we discussed this in a podcast. It's been verified. He's better than Mario, okay?
Yeah. Go back to July 2023 and listen to episode 50 immediately.
Listen to this podcast first, and then you can play this game. You won't appreciate it if you don't.
Yeah, that's your homework.
You should honestly let your kids play Mario games to right the wrongs that were done to you growing up, okay? Growing up with Sonic Kids, not easy. Growing up a Sega Kids, it's not an easy life.
Oh God.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's the last thing. Like, what is the ultimate end goal? We kind of talked about this at the very top, but like, what would be the ultimate end goal of trying to introduce your kids to retro video games?
You just want them to play something they're passionate about and to make the introduction to any game as easy as possible. I think that's our kind of like goal as a parent who works in the gaming industry, is to be like, look, there's so much selection. You can like stuff, you can hate stuff. It's all up to you. But there is Sonic the Hedgehog if you want to play that one, you know.
Look, you can dislike everything except Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. You're going to fuck up Dr. Eggman on a weekly basis.
We're going to run through the Green Hill Zone until you can do this blindfolded, okay? We're not leaving we're not going to bed until you can do this.
Yeah. Mom, help me.
I don't like Sonic anymore. For me, like, it's like what I said earlier. I just want to share, I think the ultimate goal as a parent is to be able to introduce your kids to stuff that obviously you enjoyed, see how they react to it, and like let them decide for themselves if it's something that they are interested in. I think you'd be hard pressed not to find a kid, at least at a younger age, that wouldn't be at least somewhat interested in games. As they grow up, they might be like, oh, I'm really into doing this, or this, and like that's their new hobby. But I think for a lot of people, especially like right now, there's just so many people that grew up with games that are now becoming parents that are like, yeah, like I played this, and this. I played Call of Duty like all the time with my friends. Like, this is
when we were young as well, right? I remember playing GTA when I was still pretty young, just mauling people with my vehicle. Like, whoa! My mom's looking like, should he be playing that? He's hitting an old lady with a cricket bat. Should he be playing that?
I was murdering lots and lots of virtual people when I was your age. Now we're going to share this together.
Did it in the
high
Sims.
res. Oh my gosh.
I put like 6 ovens around a lady and just made her cook until that house fell apart.
I love that you still are like, you have vivid memories of this. You're like, yep. I remember exactly how I murdered that virtual lady.
I feel bad. I
still feel bad to this day.
Sorry, Patricia.
Was that actually her name, you think?
I don't know her name, but I remember I did it, and I think someone was like, you need help.
You're not supposed to do that. That's messed up, Brandon.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. I was just trying to see if I could break the game.
Yeah.
But I think of like my love for some of the stuff that my dad, just generally liked growing up. So my dad was like super into jazz, westerns, like Indiana Jones,
cool.
James Bond. And like, I have a connection or like an affinity for those things because of him. And I'm grateful for that. It's like, I wouldn't really like jazz, I don't think, otherwise, but he's like super into it. And we had jazz playing all the time at our house.
And you find that you value that more the older you get, right? The older your dad gets, you go, there's something about this that makes me feel homely.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever I see any sort of James Bond movie on, like I'm immediately connected to him in some way where I'm like, yeah, we watched these all the time growing up. Mm-hmm. And so any of those old James Bond movies, he's super into, Cars, all that kind of stuff. So we have those connections. And I think like that's probably, it's kind of weird to think about, but that's going to be what we're sort of doing as parents is, they're going to start seeing our hobbies and being like, oh, my dad liked Mario, growing up, or my dad liked, this kind of game.
What's crazy now, right, is that our kids, because it's a digital age, will be able to go online and see content that we produced before they were even born. That's crazy. I need to start going back and deleting some stuff.
Yeah.
I've still got that video up of me burning the Sims lady when I was like 8. Like, fuck you, Patricia, burn, baby.
Do you really? Is it really?
No,
I was like, Brandon, please go find that video. I was like, if you were recording that somehow at age 8, actually, yeah, that doesn't even make sense. That'd be like in the 2000s. There's no way you could have done that.
One thing I do worry about though is finding a balance. You don't want them to love video games so much that they don't want to step out the front door. You know what I mean? You almost have to. And how I still haven't looked into that, and your kid's probably too young for you to worry about that yet. But there's definitely, you don't want a kid that prefers going into the virtual world rather than going to like a kid's birthday party, which is going to be hard because games are now designed to keep you playing for hours. Even kids, like Roblox, I've seen that. Minecraft is similar. It's just it's balance, isn't it?
Yeah. I saw this like firsthand with this was like I was in high school, and one of my friends, he had a younger brother who's a lot younger than him, and he was like super into video games, and like anytime that they would like tell him like he had to turn it off, or they had to go do something else, or he wasn't allowed to play when he wanted to, like he would like have meltdowns like every single time. Like he would just lose it if he wasn't allowed to. And like that kind of sucks, because like again, that's the game it's really the fault of the game being that enticing and addicting for kids, and like just so over the top, like adrenaline rush for them, that like it's the only thing they want to do because it's the most fun they've ever had. But I do think like, yeah, trying to navigate that balance is every parent's challenge, and you do what you want. But I do think I find this, I don't know if kids will feel this way. I think as a high schooler, I didn't feel this way, but I'm able to appreciate games more if I'm removed from them more. So like if it's not something I'm doing all the time, I enjoy it more. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
if I'm looking at it.
If I had just spent 6 hours over the weekend playing Final Fantasy 16, I don't want to play it really. I'm kind of like tired. I'm like, it's not as fun for me if I'm just doing this all the time in these long stretches. Like I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Yeah. Obviously kids, they don't have that issue. They can just keep playing for hours and hours and hours. But I think that's probably what I'll try to sort of relay somehow. Like, hey, we do this as something we enjoy. But to be able to enjoy it better, like you need to take a break from it actually. And like, we'll do something else that's going to be different, but potentially equally as fun. Like going out here and riding bikes, or going downtown and, walking around the park, or playing soccer, or doing whatever. Like these are all different things that you should probably try because they could be more fun than this.
Do you think you'll ever take your kids to Super Mario World?
Oh, dude. I mean, heck yes. That's
insane, isn't it? Now we've got that ability to go to like a Super Mario World.
Whenever I get the go ahead, I'm there. I have unfortunately not forced, but Hannah was not much of my wife was not much of a Disney person growing up, and so I was like, oh, you got to watch these movies, and then we're going to Disney World, and it's going to be great. Yeah. And so we went down there. We've been down there twice in the 8 years, or almost 9 years we've been married. And she enjoyed it for what it was, but she's like, I don't think I want to go back anytime soon.
It's a lot, isn't it? We're actually going to the one in Paris in 3 weeks from this upload. So I will let you know how that goes.
I've heard the Paris one's really nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's in French though. They do some like English stuff, but I think a lot of it's in French. But yeah, it's my first time, so I think it's just going to be blast.
Well, and what's fun is like the rides are a little bit different there. You'll have different food too. I imagine you'll actually have a lot more French cuisine, there. Maybe some I don't even know what French cuisine would be out there. French fries.
A baguette.
Maybe a baguette. Maybe some beignets. I don't even know. Those aren't really French either. Those are
ratatouille stuff. Ratatouille.
That sounds more Italian. Ratatouille. Actually, that could be French. You might be right. I don't know. We're now delving into an area that I don't know anything about. But yeah, I think I don't know. This is a fun discussion. Hopefully, we'll obviously be talking about it further as time goes on. Maybe our opinions will have changed.
Make it a yearly thing, I reckon. And I'll need your advice because you're a couple years ahead of me.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing how it's going, and then we'll check in 6 years from now, and then see what's going on. I'll be bald completely by then. It's gonna be great.
You and me both, man.
It's the best. All right, real quick. Instead of what are you playing? Because we just talked about this. Do you have any thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3 and or Starfield? These two huge open world RPGs coming out pretty soon. Are they of any interest to you?
Zero. They're too big for me. They're too big, too complicated. I played No Man's Sky, hated it, got lost. I was just like trying to talk to an alien that I didn't understand the language. So I was like, what the fuck? Why am I doing this? And Baldur's Gate, I just know that with my addictive personality, that if I get too into that, I'll be gone. And that's why I don't play RPGs. And that's why I don't have a gaming PC. Because if I do, goodbye business, goodbye relationship. You're no longer a daddy. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think, I mean, honestly, I'm in the same boat. I don't know if you saw my tweet yesterday, but I was just like, look, all this press has me highly interested in Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not so much interested in Starfield because I'm not a huge fan of Bethesda games. And like, I've tried playing one of them, and I'm just like, the jank never has spoken to me. I'm just not into that kind of storytelling.
Gone downhill.
Yeah. But Baldur's Gate, everyone is like, this is one of the greatest games ever made. This is one of the best RPGs I've ever played.
But didn't they say that about that like horror game that what's the big horror game that recently came out? And you're like slaying dragons that are super hard to kill. It's massive. It's like,
are you talking about it's the Dark Souls developer?
Yeah, that one.
I can't even think of it right now. I played a shit ton of that.
That one.
Why am I blanking on this?
There's something.
What is? Hold on.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
It is. Just tell me the name of the Elden Ring. Thank you.
Elden Ring. That's the one.
Well, Elden Ring's a little bit different in that. I mean, yes, it is one of the greatest games that's been come out of that studio, and it's just like it took the world by storm. But it was weird because it was such a difficult game, and it was still massively successful. Whereas Baldur's Gate 3, I think everyone's praising it for like just its depth and like attention to detail. And there's just like, they put everything in this game. Like if you think of something that you want to do, it really is run more like a D&D campaign from what I've heard, where like, if you want to push a person.
Is it made by Wizards of the Coast?
Larian Studios.
Sorry, that was the Dungeons and Dragons version.
Larian Studios, yeah, because like before this, they're known for like Divinity.
The original came out in '98. I'm surprised we haven't covered this. It's actually disappointing because technically it's like a retro franchise.
Baldur's Gate's been around for a minute, but yeah, people are just like loving this, and so I know it's a game, same as you, that does not speak to me because of how much there is to do in there. I'm like, dude, I know for a fact that I'll get into this game if I try, and either I'll be so consumed that it's bad for me, or like I'm overwhelmed and I'm like, no, I'm out. I can't do this. Like there's just too much to do. I'm not interested. Get me out of here. So yeah, it's weird, right? Like
that's marketing though, isn't it? I think some of it's just like such good marketing that it's everywhere and then it's gone.
Yeah, maybe in a month or two, the hype will have died down after folks have kind of gotten their fill of Baldur's Gate 3. But yeah, for right now, it seems that you and I are not the two people to be championing that game on the podcast. So sorry, folks, if you're coming here for that coverage, we may or may not be talking about it.
If I didn't have any work to do, and I was like retired, like when I'm retired, I think this is going to be the shit that I'm into. I like, kids are grown up, they've gone. Kate hates me and just wants to watch Kim Kardashians. And I'm just going to be deep in Baldur's Gate.
Kim Kardashians. Plural. Kim Kardashians, plural. I'm just going to play.
Multiplied herself.
Yeah. You're just playing Baldur's Gate 3 like in the living room. She's like on the couch, like,
I'm like strapped into like some kind of like cables just hanging from the living room. Like, I'm slaying a dragon. Oh God, that's how I picture it in the future. I'm just like
making that noise,
farting in midair. Like, I'm trying to slay the beast. It's so immersive.
I'm too immersed. Oh man, dude, that is nuts. Yeah, yeah. So, no offense to anyone that likes it. If you like it, you like it. And I think, yeah, for me, if I were to play this game and actually try to beat it, it would take me like 5 months. Like no joke.
Yeah,
I'm just like
you're quite good at sticking to one game. I'm
trying.
I'm terrible.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. That's the secret. You just got to just commit. Be like, all right, I'm just going to play this only for a little bit and try to finish it up. But I bounce around too. I haven't, we talked about it last week or last episode, but Hogwarts Legacy, I got to get back to that and finish that up. And I've got some more stuff, but there's been a little bit of a dip in things I'm interested in right now. There's a ton of stuff coming out, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So cool. Well, unfortunately, all that is all the time we have this week. Listeners, have you thought about introducing the next generation to retro games? What's your method? Let us know by writing into retrospect@retrododo.com or commenting on your preferred listening channels. Brandon, where can the good folks find you on the interwebs?
Doing a lot of work at cardgamer.com. Tomorrow I'm picking up Disney Lorcana TCG, so there should be a video on the weekend, which means it's already up by the time you listen to this.
It'll be, you can check it out next week. Yeah, this week because it's already up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're in the future. Wow. And for me, Bitblogist, BITBLOGGIST. I've got nothing really planned for the future, but I did just pick up Ape Escape.
Oh, the Rob original. Will be very happy with that.
Exactly. Tell Rob. I'm going to tell him about this in the chat. But I might try to stream it actually. As just like a first go through on Ape Escape because I played it a little bit in the 90s, and I was like, "This is sick."
What console is it on? Remind me.
PlayStation 1.
PS1.
But I'm playing it on PS5 because they brought it to
I see.
Premium collection. I paid like $5 and I have access to all the old catalog until like November or something like that. So I was like, sweet, I'll play this and then get my fill of retro games. So yeah, there you go.
Nice,
look out for an Ape Escape stream. All right, Rob specifically. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, until then, we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.